to deny Serge Gnabry. Now Rodgers can take Aston Villa the other way. Great feet. Maatsen's going to go running through. Upamecano gets a piece of it, and that's through to Neuer. But talk to me about the save from Martinez at the other end.
Martinez, brilliant. I mean, they're giving the ball away. They've been a bit loose in possession on the edge in the final, in a defensive third, Villa, but what a save.
Aston Villa seconds away from one of their great nights. Kimmich delivers the cross. Gladson, what a save! Martinez again, and then the chance in there for Upamecano. Tell lifts it back in. Glanced behind by Duran. Cleared away by...
Yakuna get to Brunest of the Pananga Live on the Cote Super Mekata 94.1 FM. On telling you about standing to the sports station that keeps you updated on all the latest turn of events. Your ultimate tradition of retro quality will continue to set the pace for others to follow. Bushra for the way you're testing to the rest of the super in team. What don't make Facebook Coneso or Facebook Coneswa as well. Red to know for the no share. Now go to message number. You make a message number. I'm a be pierced with my way to the show as well. Red to know promoter follow. No share. No to message number. You make message, you know, I'm a be pierced with my way to the show. And what don't get to know, you know, some of the you wait for Champions League, you know, matches I want to be pursued to me to draw. Yeah, Papa, you want to man, that's what tomorrow we have to the show. Never Patrick became a not to be to draw about Borussia Dortmund Momokono, Womo to a truth, Momokono, I want to ring. Nama game in the corner here, now cock we 4-4. Some game where not one thing, and that's some Katoka, but Patrick some game way, what don't about the Patrick UEFA Champions League game and to be producing a lot of field goals. What don't about Patrick Borussia Dortmund, and the truth game, and also to be to draw. Yeah, what man, and then we are so tomorrow, yet to the show. I'm going to be pierced with my conkai, yet now brought the thing, and so, and then get Anton, et me to Adama Borussia Dortmund Momokono, Karim Adeyemi, Phyllis Imenche, already thing, and so Adi Yankuto, and of a Bronte thing, and Rami Bansipeni, and a Bronte for the Phyllis Imenche, and of a Bronte the Karim Adeyemi, and already to the Anton, when the players of Mopo Fogos no, and some Adama Borussia Dortmund Momokono, and my be pierced with me quiet, now Juve and Fofem, then a Bronte for the Kilnan Yaldis, and so to me to attend to my Juve and Momokono, already to stand Flowers at me to was saying let me put another goal. After some to soup about 2 goals. And my Juve for Momokono, Lloyd Kelly, and my Coupe so as well my Juve for Momokono way. I am a Patrick Gamer, and also at me to Toya. Now more shit and just some Katoka. Life in the Cote Super Mekata 94.1 FM. Starting the pay for others to follow me Patricia. Other resource and also to me to me Patrick Arsenal Momokono. Whatever my Tetanus, also at me Cotua, Bill Momokono, our Estadio San Mamés de Bilbao, España. Ema Mokwache, Bill Pomokuri Chomokabiano, Wabaswe Tomanoshe, already didn't Gabriel Toro Martinelli Tasova, Toro for the Capi Martinelli, any player, whatever Twitter, as well as the Momokono, Emma Brantefeli, Anto Trozer, as well to be Ponko, and him, Emma asked the Momokono, Nama Fan to the Massa Gateway, now no she papa be pierced to be quiet, and Emma asked the Momokono, Yena, the Patro PLV and Tom for Momokono, Wabuta Fima Judas and Kaloy, Emma Let's try to come here, sir. What to Paco, and of Benfica, Momokuno Strotefe, Emma Quarampak and Tom FK, Emma Tiny come here, so to Mumino, and of a real man to Momokono, as well El Estadio Santiago Parapao to Matuna Spana, but Patomutofian, Wabuto Olympic to Master Momokono, and Tomocamino, Wabuto Paco, a Bronte for it to Motuya, and a decline, the breaking the virginity of the game, as well anti Emma, Olympic to Master Momokono, and set upon a tripa, already to the killing in Papa. But Patron Tottenham, that the Emma Yamal to Momo could take her, and of a Bronte for the Daniel Tony Caballero Ramos, and so could have record away Gabriel, and send a Bronte for the killing in Papa penalty. Asempa, not for Rono, as for the Pono and Tottenham, and the Amargelman to Momokono, now be put already to the champion Loso Lano, on the American to Margelman to Momokono, yes, squad and no parity against Olympic to Marcel Momokono, already to the Timpo Nicola Macotua, Tono for the Timo Cotua, and goalkeeper Ponimo, and Margelman to Momokono, already to the Trent and Lesson or not, and so starting Cameron, already to the enter Capra Blitao, as starting Cameron, affecting Hilson starting Cameron, on a by Alberto Alvaro Fernandez Carreras eso Japan kuma faso already to the Federico Santiago Valverde de Peter El Hakon to the Fede Valverde Estate Kebno Aurelien Chouameni Jade Estate ono Fabrante for the Franco Bastantudo Estate Kebno Antegula ono Fabrante for Rodrigo Ticos and already to the Kylian Mbappe Martin weighing any players that already to the champion also used to here Aditia Olympic Master Bobo Kono na watano mpacho players changes nipo mutumu rabo Danny Kabaya ebe ya Bronte for the Trent Alexander North Arnold Akokopra me pacho the latest next one baba ora anything else and Franco Bastantuno Frimo Brahim Diaz Abdelkader ebe Robus Yakaribi already ten Rodrigo the Coast eso Frimo Jose Pastayo Oliveira Vinicius Junior to know for the Vinicius Junior so by Obesi Yakaribi then Mario Mantu Bobo Kono and for ya Bronte the Raul Asensio Beya Brontia, the father Antogula, that did the Fibo, and Bobby Piastri to be quiet, and about Real Madrid couldn't wait. I am a patron UEFA Champions League, and Madrid came and ultimate Georgia, our Ella Stadio Santiago Parapao to Madrid, Spain, against Olympic Tomas, and Bobocono, our Champions League, and went to my, and I'm Patria Slotomo here to watch us so, be Piason, Yes, and Katoka, not me Patron front to the Statonomos Probocono, one was Champaco Piaria, Bobocono, one was some then to me, I know she never Patron Kibno, already to the Thomas Tay Pate, or promoted with the Musakama Biariel, Bobocona against Kudus Mohamed, Tonomos Pet, so Tonomos Probocono. Amo promote eso to me to him be piaso to me koye and ma Thomas promo kono mo wie kebna and me patron ready claim Thomas Tay Pate master or prepare ho or papa ho and abrante so de tedie ma me fan to the musa sign empa court and no pay eso English abrachimamo o say Thomas Tay Pate me patron yedim yeso board upon say abrante we repuma eso na we UK abrachimamo don table no say kan eso ma Arsenal bobo kono etina abrante the court na me patron de tell say abrante the court no we plead no guilty what I say into me patron de tell so trouble some report no for video no photo TV so na yente report concerning abrante ya for Thomas Tay Pate na me patron me mamuntemu de course court no for yen trust on to ma me some video no Facebook no so radio na we follow na we share down to message na pa na ya ken ka message no so to ma kama amba be piaso to ma ko we to to so into me patron kika ho na yen intent no for yen ko anyway na yen share de course am probably patron no thing and Thomas Tay Pate so ko court na me patron yen ba report de course so our court wa yen tie.
Thomas Partey has pleaded not guilty at a court in London today to 5 charges of rape and 1 of sexual assault. He will stand trial next year. For more on this, we can join our sports news correspondent, Geraint Hughes. Geraint, can you please bring us up to speed with today's proceedings?
Yes, indeed. Thomas Partey, well, this hearing was actually set some weeks back, but it just so happened that Thomas Partey was in London anyway, because, of course, he was playing for his new club, Villarreal. He is, of course, a former Arsenal player, but he was playing for his new club, Villarreal, against Tottenham last night. Came on as a late substitute. So he arrived here at Southwark Crown Court at about 9:20 this morning. His hearing, which is called a plea and pre-trial preparation hearing, was set for 10 a.m. this morning. Now, it was a very short hearing. It lasted just 14 minutes. However, he spoke to the judge briefly during that time, just to confirm his name and his date of birth, but also to enter pleas against the counts on the indictments against him. So he entered 5 not guilty pleas to 5 counts of rape and then 1 not guilty plea against the count of sexual assault. He denies all those charges. They allegedly took place between 2021 and 2022. He was arrested in 2022 while still an Arsenal player. So what happens today as well is that a trial date has also been set for Thomas Partey. That is going to take place here at Southwark Crown Court, but not until next year, on November the 2nd, 2026. And as the judge made clear to Mr. Partey, that is due to the backlog of cases within the judicial system. And Mr. Partey, of course, is still on bail. So he goes in a queue behind others who are still in custody at the moment. That is why it's going to take almost 14 months for this to come to trial. As I say, he remains on bail. The conditions of those bail were actually set at a hearing last August, that he cannot have any contact with the 3 complainants in this case. He has to inform the British police of any international travel and also inform them if he changes his address, if he intends to stay at an address for longer than 14 days. Those bail conditions.
Yes, I know I am Bronte for the Thomas Tepate, and now our court was six charges. They are putting in or cancer a judge or take to say, and young yes, and claim one in tomb, seven patron Thomas Tepate, the patron Santanon, any tia mana, one also court to say, court answer for Mutu Bassam, as one for one TV patron of me tomorrow. Next year, 2026, it may take a long time. Nothing yet to mamma, a prosecutor, and nothing investigators are, or we are part of the matter, or meant to be a ton of investigation into the matter, so that be patrol declare evidence. Nothing, judge, that's what to be just nothing. What to be able that time, I'm going to be passed to my queen patrol ready to Thomas Tepate, or as the same charges said, no, were pleaded not guilty. And tell no, I am a patron of court, and of course, you can know, no, also someone, I'm a lawyer, so, and I told judge, and I went to my, and then you to my way to the so, and to my Facebook, could have so Facebook, could have swear. As the red to no promoter fellow. Now I shut down to message number. You make a message number. I'm going to be passed to my way to the store. The patrol, my main fan to the Sunday 10 year, and the matches I want to assume a total. And when you wear for Champions League, I don't pay a thing. You wear for Champions League, Master Noya Shea, the patrol made that Olympiacos Pine of Bobo Kono, woman of Paphos FC, Eddie Bunny, the patrol San Cabin, the mayor 4:45 p.m. in Tente, San Cabin Toja, come upon of Fabia Slavia Prague, woman of Porto Clint, and also 4:45 p.m. Sanke Toja, Yabina Ayas Amsterdam Bobokono, Wabatrafian, Wabani in Tabla Bobokono, 7 p.m. And I Sanke Toja, our Yuan Cruz Arena, already to the Michael Oliver, and then Ralph Roberto of what toy them, let them against the bra, Ayas Amsterdam Bobokono, Waba welcoming in Tabla Bobokono Kama, I'm a person, let my quay, Nami Patron that games, and also to Toja, my main fan to the Mr. Permun to the Bobokono, our Alliance Football, Arena Monchin. Wabana Charles Bobokono and a double pony already telling you say Sanchez Martinez and then Rafi and the Patromento Nofe, what toy them enter my casino of his pin, what has here, the Patro 7 p.m. a game when the Nosu Toja and to ano a bear Paramunchin and of a Charles Bobokono, then a live commentary. That's what the Bobo come out. I'm a be person that hour live on Ezra 94.1 FM and tell them Ramon Try and Afe, young for commentary them. That's what Enfo come out. The Patro live for Bobokono. Film, the Anfield Road, Liverpool. Now for the Patromato Mosa. Eso Tafe, Atletico Matrubokono, already to the criminal to Maurizio Mariani, and a referee, Obama Toy, and Toma Case and Bra, the Patron Liverpool Bobokono, woman Atletico Matrubokono, so the penny, I'm going to be passed to 7 p.m. And I gave them a tato, and I gave my no submit to my tato. I will pack the Prince du Paris, and the Bella Paris Sentiment, the Patron a lot of piece of Bobokono, and so the bedroom, I'm going to be passed to my quay, and so Toma Case and no, I will fetch on plastic, and then games I want to Toja, you want to man, and then you want to we have to the so, the Patro Paris Sentiment, and a lot of piece in Cabino, Yamada Ruffy added to the Central Skira, offering a Switzerland or no, and a Ruffy better not for what to them, and the Cancino, I'm going to be passed to my Conkai, no one Patro Mabba son, Namia Tumatina, Yamada matches where to my Trasso, and when you were fetch on plastic, the Patro Club Bush Bobokono, woman of Monaco Bobokono, that's what about 4:45 p.m. Gabriel Tato, and Fabina Copenhagen Bobokono, woman of Facusi Bobokono 4:45. Gabriel Tato, you better enter from Bobokono, woman in Galatasaray, and a double point of Manchester City Bobokono, woman in Napoli Bobokono, and a division Newcastle United, and a Barca Bobokono to the body, and a first Sporting CP, and so they Kerat Amalti, and then the Patrotima Munobopa, not for the Piastro to back went away, and then the first day of UEFA Champions League in Manchester Woodwa, and also to Tom, and they went to my, and so to my, we had to the so, and to another Facebook, or Facebook, a ɛso reto no fele no hye na woto message pa ye bekenka message no na bi pia so to makwe we to tene so mama abrantie for the Kylian Mbappe lotin to no for the Kylian Mbappe me patro since a year 2010 me patro already thing that the Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro El Temporano San Rapido Burkina El Bicho to no for the same Ronaldo me patro be the fastest player also already 50 goals at the Real Madrid Bobo in all competitions, no, let me patron say that your player after Ronaldo, no, in terms of your scoring for Real Madrid, Bobo, me patron yeah fast artists will to me a lot of goals. And some get about Real Madrid, Bobo, me patron after Ronaldo, no, yet to me another Ronaldo. I me patron because another Ronaldo. I am brought for the Kylian Mbappe. On some Ronaldo there, me patron yeah brought for the Kylian Mbappe, no, just a moya and Yanumanesa. If it's a Kylian Mbappe partner, or probably I was trying to stop on the ball, or be motivated. No, obi a patro che de sampa adwuma no obetuma ye into on trust no for adwuma na away football na achievement a obetuma ye football no bi kra obetuma pro de so ano ye be patro already to the Cristiano Ronaldo be patro na already to the Kylian Mbappe no ten also be catch us in the second season here at him the Mario to Bobo Kono na mon patro be front to the say one boss 64 games and the Mario to Bobo Kono and na game no boy against Olympic to Marcel Bobo Kono and a game number 64 and I brought for the Kylian Mbappe me patro weapon and so Mario to Bobo Kono na me patro 64 games weapon and no 2 goals no ya and it's Olympic to Marcel Bobo Kono and a goal number 50 and I brought for the Kylian Mbappe when that's what Mario to Bobo Kono into a maybe the fastest player after already taking Cristiano Ronaldo about me patro reaching 50 goals in 64 games, and so Tomago to Bobo Kono, and we are pronto for the Kylian Mbappe no 10, total for the Kylian Mbappe, on the second so the Mario to Bobo Kono, and Suma Bomontain, and that's a super far pronto, and then we are going to and so Tomago for life in the court, Super Mecata, 94.1 FM, started the pen for Antas to follow me, Patrona Shooting, Kudaso, Yada Sunday Pa, Mammy, I pronto for the Kylian Yadis. I was second about two for Bobo Kono, far the picture, far two TV, so Patro according to report that you Beseka, I purchased a star player away, the Turkish international, where a player, not just Bobo Kono, woman pre-person compare so, woman a brand for the Kylian Yadis, and the Papa, I'm a brand to the street to Beseka, Tamachos, Bobo Kono, woman a year an offer of 80 million euros, and the Kotu table also the Matru for Bobo Kono, National Drew for Penny for Ritatia, woman to Chelsea and Penny for the Musa, Akana, the Patria Fano, Kylian Yadis, no, and that Tessa, where Salapo, now the Central for Bobo Kono, Womaton, Akaniso Costa came from a Kabubia, Akanibaste, Astro Drew for Bobo Konomante, and I'm able to animation, Nanta, the Patron Drew for Bobo Konia, Akanibatase, one betting Comastan Pia, Akanon, and the Pedibasi Catas for Bear standing the contract, you know, Astro Tomato Fan to Bobo Kono, reported that you Beseka, their partners are Chelsea Bobo Kono, Oma Bakono, Namia Tuma, a free Jimmy Moko, Chelsea Bobo Kono Samastate. And the truth, Bobo couldn't come out, and your club for the Kenan Yadis, everything come out. No one trying to convince a planter for the Yadis. Some accredited gentlemen, nothing that me to the sit this one. About the second so tomatoes to Bobo Kono, and they report with Patron Yadosopa, and now a planter for the Kenan Yadis and Qua, and a chance to Bobo Kono, Woman went to my mommy, a planter for the Tondo Kamafinka, Campino, Pinda saw me, Tondo for the Tondo Kamafinka, where a player, the second about Gilman to Bobo Kono, reported that Yabasaka, I purchased a Chelsea Bobo Kono, woman are planter for the Tondo Kamafinka. Now me and two since we saw Nasa, the Patron second about Chelsea Bobo Kono, already to the criminality Elso Maroska, on your manager, that's true to my Chelsea Bobo Kono, about person planter for the Tondo Kamafinka, Campino, Pinda Sammy, and to my Pompo Buffet, on also not to my Besakai, and so to my Chelsea Bobo Kono, tell report, the Patron Yadoso Bar, they went to my that's true to my for life on Elsa 94.1 FM, started the pen for Antas to follow the Patron. From to the Muslim Yetia, Uram, that's what the Mia to my name, Gama Etonja, between Paramount to the Bobo Kono, and of a Chelsea Bobo Kono, our Alliance Football, Arena Mountain, Chelsea Bobo Kono, about Tom Paramount to Bobo Kono, not from what I put on me Patron Ramono, my man from to the Muslim, or the part of already day, and then Vestant Gen Company employ to know for the Vestant Company manager, and about Paramount to Bobo Kono, where you squad of a parity against a Chelsea Bobo Kono, my man from to the Muslim, already tell about one Peter Noya ebeto podimo enso ntoma ya bobo kono afebenya branche for the Dayo Shankuna Upamecano Jonathan for Upamecano mastate already telling Jonathan Grawota Jonathan for Jonathan Ta already telling and it was some stage ebeto Bonkoma Faso afe Koralema Benchani Faso and of a branche for the Joshua Watakimik ebastate kebno afe Leon Christophe Goroska Jonathan Leon Goroska so you expect us to be to mastate and one thing for her or anything and Michael Olise Apovi so you expect us to be to mastate Serge Gnabry David mastate already to Luis Fernando Marulanda Diaz to know for Luis Diaz already to the Hurricane Edwards why the players they expect us on the boost of already to the Vicente Gen Company employ to know for the Vicente Company manager and to Mbappe'S to Momokono or be to mastate as well UEFA Champions League game and also to against Chelsea Momokono and they report me patch free payment to Momokono and from Australia pa young coach Chelsea Momokono Australia me patch coach Chelsea Momokono Australia already to the criminality Enzo Maresca manager that the Chelsea Momokono my man fan to the way I players and me atuma me patch numrai I expect us to be to parity against payment to Momokono or adite Roberto Sanchez Lynch to know for Roberto Sanchez Emena Podimo and them Chelsea Momokono Tosin Antonasau Adara yo to know fellow Adara you must start already to the Travacholo bottom also must start game no Reece James I expect us to be to start Captain Fantastic already to the back Kukureya Saseta and some I expect us to Bronte must start already to the Enzo Fernandez Jeremias and Gonto Moises Isaac Corosso Casito to know fellow Moises Casito Pedro Neto Lomba already to the Copama Jermaine afa Bronte for the Jermaine Gaitens Bino and of a young Pedro Junquera de Jesus. Why any players? I expect to say anyway. Women to start again payment to Momokono and to be patrol probable lineup pro and Metaman. That's what you meant to the so and to another Mamako Facebook to the summer. Oko Facebook to the swap as well right to no promoter fellow. Now I shall now to message number and now you're making come message number. I'm a be pierced to make way to the so. Me patrol already telling you say pump controller I seller to know for the pump controller your manager and some that the Manchester City Momokono. Then you are too much Manchester City Momokono. Woman, any a Napoli Momokono. And you already think, and so any a Antonio Conte Tonto Salento. On your manager, Napoli Momokono against already to the pump controller. Nama Rufus already to the Calvin de Bruyne. As we are former midfielder, and then Manchester City Momokono say, was against the Napoli Momokono. And you could already to the pump controller, sir. Namia too much now, Ushia, a branch for the Calvin de Bruyne. And when you were for Champions League, now you're Bussa, a branch for the Calvin de Bruyne. More Man City Momokono Canon, movement to control. Now after the game, we did the best year, and I'm a patch already thing, and a pump controller, sir. Young fan to appear, so I come on, Peter, sir. While she was some, the liberty who are branch for the Calvin de Bruyne. And I for such a say, Namia Tuma, after the game, no, or they are branch for the Calvin de Bruyne, Messia, not for what you went to come off this, so I fear branch near power. And on, and then somebody patch already to the pump controller, and they are to the Yentino.
The game, yeah. Of course, it's nice to hit him back.
Have you sort of kept an eye on his start, the way he started in Italy? What have you made of it?
It's no surprise. The players in that level adapt so quick. The players in that level, they don't need much time to adapt and perform well. He's incredible talent, vision, pass, assist, goals in the final.
I know I am a part already telling you say pep controller I seller to know for the pep controller manager and so to Manchester City Momokono Suman Wama Mountain and now we are so about to train one to my and so to my we have to the so me patro me console for more not for the somebody be swamper and no me patro real man to Momokono our El Stadio Santiago Parapao to my trainer Spanier to know fellow aya Santiago Parapao real man to first the Moha me patro Musho Olympic to Marcel Momokono game now could we and I branch for the Trent and or not to know for the Arnold me patch up to the co-prior na medical to them a further test or more patches are brought to the prano a serious power test here it's a real matter technical to us medical to know I confirm the extent of the injury of a bronte the thing and the Trent and Lasana are not me patch your call TV no so Yanko Facebook no so true mami view to know the confirmation of a bronte for the Trent and Lasana not ni pra.
Real Madrid have confirmed Trent Alexander-Arnold has suffered a hamstring injury following last night's victory over Marseille. The Spanish club said in a statement that the England international's injury would keep him out of action for the short term, but the severity of the injury is not yet known. The right-back will undergo further medical tests before a timeframe for his return can be confirmed. Well, Trent has spoken on Instagram to address the injury. This is what he said. We'll be back as soon as possible, stronger than before. See you soon, Madridistas.
Bronte for the Trent and Lesnar not. Me patcho the fina so yam eso ne pa. Ye went to my so to we to better so. Me patcho the to say be rom e won you Castle United game no. Wo me pass bobo kunyami to mochona. And me patcho sankem no so toja. Na the to so to me pictures na bra. Basta players no more pondo play na fe. O ma rom no me to my pondo Castle no. What the star pictures no so the Beku TV no so. What the Beku Facebook no so na fe to ma ko anim. E ma be pia so to ma ko e. And no I be patcho the Castle United bobo kono. Some another pass a bobo kono, almost all Bobo Moya, not from the best new Castle Grata Bobo kono, and when you were for Champions League, Mammy Patron, I pass a Bobo could fit no, time about to play no more players no, or more reaction, not for this year, nobody at top play no more, Namia too much out there, the patron came with the best mercy, woman, never say new Castle Grata Bobo Kura Tomuti, not be pierced to my question to my pass a Bobo kono, and to trouble myself into them, pass a players no, or what's a play more, and come out nobody.
Buen día. Excited for the first Champions League game. Muchas gracias. Amazing. Love it. Hola. Oh.
Bobo could time I'm far playing for Bugram. I want Newcastle and Vito, and I get two restaurant to make Facebook or so Facebook as well. As I rent to know for the share. Now, go to a message up. You making come message in the summer. I'm a be pierced to my way to better so. Me patch already to have a slot and a slot here manager. And so the money for Bobo could have my son in the bedroom. And a slot and a mommy. I brought you for La Yamal. A banner Masloy, don't know for La Yamal. On a free player to my pastor Bobo Kono, Basta supporters, what we done to MSA team at the Master Bronte for La Yamal. Now, me and Tommy Patrochanke Metoja against Newcastle United Bobo Kono on your fit on your part of the squad. And then there's some apprentice to Sakai and so to my pastor Bobo Kono. And then go to report concerning apprentice, the for La Yamal, a banner Masloy of Barcelona fame.
News is probably good news for Newcastle United. They are in the Champions League tomorrow at home to Barcelona, and they will not be facing Lamine Yamal. The 18-year-old has not even travelled with the Barcelona squad. He's got an injury. He missed the 6-0 win over Valencia at the weekend due to a groin issue. He's still got that, so he's not going there. Frenkie de Jong is available, however. Alejandro Balde and Gavi have also not made the trip. But the big news there is that Lamine Yamal will not be facing Newcastle United for Barcelona tomorrow night in the Champions.
Yes, I know. I have Bronte for La Yamal. And also the finish to him. After the part, you went to my store to Mobile for. Me patron mama already telling David Joseph Robert Beckham. Turn off for the David Beckham. Also your former player. And the Manchester United former player. And the Real Madrid Mobile former player. And the Paris Saint-Germain. And the AC Milan Mobile. Me patron Railway and Bad Inter Miami. What do my Pan? No say here. What to be na Asaba for Church Newcastle United Mobile Mania. What was Newcastle the Barca there, Barca from Etobobe Hamam and the Bobo Sen was a hair. Master Bobo Kono or some to be able to power. If it's a club who are bar, I asked the power for no, because of the Aquaway will bet my head and to the Baba Contaqua. Now, when the car and directed, now only the boss will be a pair now some part, say, Kaya the one there. Almost said, Nima, I shall say, quite short time. Oh, young Kaka, would to be prepared of a would to be real game with the right mentality. Was so a catch of Piazza, Newcastle United Bobo Kono, I mean, surprise people, and that's a surprise team. I'm going to appear our UEFA Champions League this season. And to move beyond directing Newcastle United, Bobo Kono, no, yes, already telling David Joseph Robert Beckham, to know for David Beckham, and I am a patron former manager, and the Mario to Bobo Kono, Super Mountain, and now yes, to the to try, yeah, went to my and so to Bobo Stafford. Now, me patron, my friend to the son, ask the Bobo Kono, what done my patron, my the first, I guess, side, or draw. Mammy asked for picture, a brand round, a brown Tefili, Antro Trouser, already telling Cabral to Toro Martinelli Tassova, Toro for the Capi Martinelli, no. Amokobo 2 goals. Anima Arsenal Bobo could have game Bobo Kono. Omoba the first against Saida. The patron the Tenesa, Womo Etimate Spanish opposition, Spanish teams. Now for the last against 6 matches, Womo Pato Tasujano, Womo Tobosun couldn't let me patron. Arsenal Bobo Kono. Omo record against Spanish teams. Our UEFA Champions League in the last 6 matches, Womo Atos Tasujano, Womo Tim couldn't repair straight to Mako. No, Arsenal Bobo Kono. The first match, that's the bar. And then you went to Master to Mabusha. Me patron that's what Tim could have said in the bar. I'm a be passed to Mako. We to the show. Already telling your Santos Marino Mario Felix. To know for the Jose Mourinho. That's what your former manager, Edmund Benfica Bobo Kono. Papano and then Benfica campaign focus for Mutin Koma. Now me and Tom Nessa appear to be go through. Already telling Jose Mourinho will become the next manager to manage Benfica Bobo Kono. And to talk about breaking news now concerning already telling Jose Mourinho. Mama Savit and breaking news now. Fasavit and Fatu TV. So another Benfica Bobo Kono Mutafie. Emma Korampa Canton F Bobo Kono. Wabachum, Echomo, Eka Makumakumiasa, Wabotumino, Benfica Bobo Kono, Patterson and B, Wabokra would perform, and to here a top notch manager. Artisan, Wabetuma Juma, and Benfica Bobo Kono. When I'm already telling Jose Mourinho. To the first club, one on get to you on the professional coaching career, near Benfica, Bobo Kono, and Chastain Gentleman, I don't know, Pablo already telling you Mourinho, and to be Patron coach already telling, and then you Mourinho the contact with Benfica, Bobo Kono.
Breaking news this morning, Jose Mourinho is in talks to become Benfica manager. The 62-year-old who was sacked by Fenerbahce earlier this month was in charge for Benfica for 11 games in his first managerial role. That was way back in 2000. He's set to return after Benfica's embarrassing Champions League loss to Karabag last night. Bruno Lage was sacked in the early hours of this morning after his side squandered a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2. And in a statement, the Benfica president, Rui Costa, insisted a change of head coach was needed, and he expects to have a new one in place to face Villarreal next Saturday. So just to recap, we understand Jose Mourinho is in talks already to become Benfica manager.
I know I am a part of Benfica, Bobo Kono, for Bashoya, that's the bar, and then you want to Basho to Babusha from to Facebook Coreso, or Facebook Coreswa, as well read to no fellow. Now I shall now to message up, you make a message to them, that's what I'm a be passed to Mako, wait to the show, and you am a part already telling your Santos Marino Mario Felix. Me part of the story now, me part of Yamamo already telling your Mourinho. The tennis in the warrior with a Benfica, Bobo Kono. The first time I'm a part of coaching Benfica, Bobo Kono, see ya, I'm Patron already telling you Mourinho. They are telling some were free Benfica Bobo Kono and they asked to my passer. Me Patron already telling you Mourinho. Every time Akwakuya as manager, as so to Benfica Bobo Kono. Enti ora anything any doggy creature as so Maya. All the data report concern already telling you Mourinho in return to Portugal League.
Before we get into obviously desperately want to chat to you about the big news that broke in the last hour or so. Jose Mourinho potentially returning to the Champions League with Benfica. How surprised are you at that?
Yeah, this is a really, really surprising story. It's actually worth remembering that Jose Mourinho's first job in management was with Benfica in the year 2000. He only lasted 11 games there, won 6 of them, had a dispute with the board. He asked for a contract extension and was eventually fired. He then moves on and eventually ends up at FC Porto, Benfica's biggest rival. He wins the UEFA Cup, the Champions League, 2 Portuguese league titles, and the rest is history. Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, etc., etc. But this is so fascinating because Benfica were the side that knocked out his previous team, Fenerbahce, out of the Champions League this year in qualifying. They won 1-0 with Kerem Aktürkoğlu scoring the only goal in that game. Aktürkoğlu then joined Fenerbahce, probably under the promise of working with Jose Mourinho, and now Mourinho has ended up at his former club Benfica. So it's a really fascinating turn of events. I think it's fair to say that Mourinho's career has slightly dwindled in the last few years. He's been on a bit of a European tour. Last year at Fenerbahce, they finished 9 points behind Galatasaray. Benfica also had a disappointing campaign. They finished 2 points behind Sporting CP, who of course changed manager twice, including Ruben Amorim during last season. But you do feel like Benfica, having lost Angel Di Maria, Alvaro Carreras, who's now Real Madrid's left back as well, they probably need a figure like Jose Mourinho, so experienced, to guide them through this period of transition. But again,
I know I am a part already telling you somebody in the story now, and I'm about to toss the Nima, and not to be cross to be true or no, and often Benfica, I'm about the first job as a manager, and I'm about to toss the no, that's what to my Koswa, they went to my answer to my for that, me patron do no, and they're still not done, and to do my future no, not for to my room kaka, they control the negotiations with the Benfica so far. I have found a true possibilities in the me and to my, me patron weekendy, or better at some bench. And so to my perfect Kabukono, Yentie, the details negotiations between already telling you Santos, Mario Felix, and of Benfica.
Mourinho could be in line for a quick return to management after only leaving Fenerbahce in August. Champions League winner is in talks with Benfica over a shock return to the club. Gary Cottrell has got the latest for us on this potential move. Gary, good to see you. This could be a huge homecoming for Jose. Just how close is this deal now?
Well, the latest I have is that it's still not done. The negotiations are ongoing about length of contract, personal terms, backroom staff. His backroom staff, actually just appointed in the summer, is now entirely Portuguese, so that would work out as well as far as Benfica are concerned. And there's a certain amount of serendipity and romance about this appointment if it happens. In the recent past, he's played Benfica 3 times as Jose Mourinho as Fenerbahce manager in the last 2 months, once in a friendly, a pre-season friendly, then 2 times in the Champions League playoffs, lost narrowly by a goal to nil over 2 legs, which led to him, of course, leaving Fenerbahce. But the other aspect of that was that a player that Jose Mourinho had agreed to sign, that the 2 clubs had agreed on the signing of from Benfica to Fenerbahce, was allowed to play in that game before eventually leaving for Fenerbahce and scored that winner. So Jose Mourinho wasn't very pleased with the way that negotiation was done. He lives just over the bridge as well. His Portugal home is just over the bridge from Benfica's training ground and home stadium. And Mario Branco is the current sporting director of Benfica. Up until the summer, he was sporting director of Fenerbahce, who was involved in appointing Jose Mourinho to Fenerbahce. So that all adds up in terms of recent history. But what about old history? Well, it'll be 25 years exactly to the day that Jose Mourinho first joined Benfica briefly in his first job as a manager, head coach. If he does join Benfica, and their first game at the weekend will be 25 years to the day, and then their first home game 3 days later will be against Rio Avenue, where Jose Mourinho had a brief playing career. Didn't obviously make the grade and then went off to teaching and doing his coaching badges. But yeah, lots and lots of romance and
I know I am a part already doing and studying your summary the contract negotiations with Benfica and your mama latest updates. No, not me part of my Akrana. You for the Nick Vatmadi for the picture of 2 team that's really unquestioned. Nick Vatmadi for the picture of 2 team that's so now young queen in Yanko, the Ecosoha, Nasan Kato can be part of Croway. Yamia Tuma and then came to Jadas and Yamia Tuma China came to Ja. Newcastle and the Pastor Bobokono obey the most tallest player on the pitch. Now, Uku Pastor Bobokono Mafama, Upe play Wapa, and you're prompted for the Marcus Trafford, where you're 6.1. What I say? Now, Alcrana, you're for the neck of Fatmadi, Medina 2 team, that's no, where you're 6.6. What I said, so what's all this will riba, where will ribo? We boss a different and all Bruno, or no Jafakuna Panay. Nobody that's I know I am a Patacana, your friend Nick Fatmadi, Newcastle get out to Bobo striker, the Patron wants some, and a young one to and then yes, what tomorrow we have to watch the Sonteno, and I you want to know, the Patron Facebook, the Soko Facebook, as well as one red to one promoter for the no share. Now to message Napa, we are kicking message to the summer, and they are prompted for Nick Vatmati. Yes, and Kitoka, the Patron already to that slot. Honestly, American money for Pubokono, when you let it come out to Camera, and you come to say, a prompted for that lesson is sack, or be a part of the squad. Already thing, and then that's what I, or be a part of the squad, okay, and you must say that, the Patron in debut now, or make and when you went for Champions League for Liverpool, Bobokono, Sikana, they to a Branty Feno, and Lazaro is Sakano, and then there's a Beru Brantero, and already thing, and I saw say, player Bia was a Academy Liverpool could potentially Wobetman was more than £100 million. And to not forget about Sikano Denahe, Nemon Patron the Tennessee at the end of the season. Judgment, yes, I brought to them Liverpool, able to motivate trophies, and also went to my new trophies. And no, and I'm a Patron resource. More forget about Sikano, and no summer already to them a slot manager, and the Liverpool there to Giantino.
Are all excited about seeing Alexander Isak for the first time in a Liverpool shirt. Of course, you've already said you need to manage his fitness, particularly with his first few games at the club. But how important a player could he be if Liverpool want to win the Champions League?
Not very important, as all the others, but it's been clear that if you spend so much money on a player, then he must have something special, and that's also what he has. But I think if we would have sold every single player of our starting 11, they would have been worth 100, 120, 150, so much money as well. So he comes in a team of the same quality. So we must not focus so much on him or on Florian and so much on this transfer fee, because these players are playing together with players. If we sell Dominic Szoboszlai, if we sell McAllister, if we sell Mo Salah is maybe now a bit older, but even still we might even make 100 million on a player like him. So they are just coming in to a team that is worth the same amount of money. So yes, we expect them to do well, but don't judge them differently than the ones we already have, because they're all star players and all worth so much money.
Patron ready to that slot. As for the Tuja, Mamma Bronte for the Virgin van Dijk. Only a captain for the money Liverpool. Anna Yabusa Bronte for the Virgin van Dijk said, after spending so much money, I will transfer back to the Virgin. Yabusa said, what about Liverpool could have made to this season? More Champions League, and also Premier League, and I'm returning Virgin van Dijk, Yentino.
Pick winning the Premier League back-to-back or winning the Champions League, and you could only have one, which would it be?
I'm not going to answer that, because I would love to win both, and that's why I'm going to fight for this season together with my boys.
Can I tell you that Mo Salah did answer that question?
I know he loves to answer these questions though, that's why. So I'll let him do those answers, and I'll stick with the ones that I really, he probably thinks the same as I do, by the way.
He did say he wants to win the Champions League.
And so, and then Virgin van Dijk was a cannibal in fact, Bobo could have finished yesterday. Now, Manchester United, Bobo couldn't make a cannibal. Our crowning for the Anton Watton was a cannibal Crystal Palace, Chelsea and Penny for Namia to my general Momo Pasomodia Crediba, Bobo said cannibal Chelsea, Bobo Kono, and to the features Bobo Kono Yans, yesterday bar already did the contest in the agent already did it to Mansi Camara, was no return to Chelsea, and then there's a branch for the contest about returning. I must say cannibal Chelsea, Bobo could be me patron Yaman to Bobo Kono, and my expressing to some study a branch for the Williams and the bar, the patron already thing, and so and Louis Rick and the Paris Saint-Germain Bobo Kono, Womosom Anthony Rest, no commitment to the Boateng of Manchester United fame, Newcastle United, Bobo Kono, Sobo Pacrano, Omo Passam, Omo to the Paro for Mr. Kai, and so the Newcastle United, Bobo Kono, and Tony reported also from Bournemouth, Omo manager, already thing, and so and Anthony Iraola, Omo Passam was standing the contract, and to accommodate so Air Coso, Mamma already telling Cabral Agbola Hall, honestly a former player. And about Aston Villa Bobo Kono was it at dinner already to Rupin Filippo Mbappe'S. Oh yeah, and when Manchester United Bobo Kono, the all you understand. A person Manchester United paid for Pamano, not for the £12 million pay off for no, they said to me cannot for set to return no queer to my manager and about Sporting CP Gabriel Agbola.
Manager who has shown in his recent press conferences he wants to be sacked is Ruben Amorim. I can read body language. I can read the way managers speak, the way he's talking, the formation. I'm going to stick with. If he wants anything different, you get rid of the manager. Who speaks like that? If I'm the Manchester United hierarchy, I'm like, is this guy serious? He will be sacked this season, I promise you.
And you know him because you did your coaching
badges with him, yeah.
Badges with him. So is he stubborn? Is he? Do you see him changing at all? Because surely he's walking into being sacked.
I really don't see him changing, and he keeps saying the same things. He'll change the personnel, won't change the formation. He'll change one of the centre halves every single game.
Players make formations.
He's had since November. We're coming up to like a year in 2 months' time.
But I don't know, already three Jesse can't say, young fan to appear before come up here to say, already till Ferrari and face, bow, Balin Fapino, why you not, why send to our cotton room, just a one none of friends for the why you know, won't be 25 branch for Ferrari and face, and so I will in fact Pubo cross a Savitano, and also how gentlemen a farmer, already to the killing the purpose, Namia to my Ballanton ceremony, or better for enough for her, now or Passa a branch for a smart tempele, and let me with the Santano, but already to the Hilson, just suspended a chrono for 1 match. For 1 match, and on a Real Madrid put the first derby on my appeal. Nothing, Sammy Pato suspension at my Bronte for the Houston or on Sammy Pato weekend on this straight record on the part of Real Madrid Momokono. Real Madrid put the 4 parts at derby. One more, and my appeal now. I found put the form. That's why you get finish. So, and me Pato already thing, and so Rodrigo the Ghost now for more picture for 2 teams this way. I brought you for Rodrigo the Ghost one tells us the piano. Yeah, be a tono. Nobody feel Real Madrid Momokono, so that's what. So after one point and so Tamar Gelman to Bobo Kudanon, like a kind of so bar, the Pacho Chelsea Bobo Kudunqua, and the top team almost like when you for champions in the bra, woman in front of a set sponsor. What I say, I know I have Chelsea Bobo Kudo, woman so Bogo so many companies I want to think about and to me announcement to know, the Pacho Bass and Spotify, and think about some moment to stadium contract, and so Tamar to the Mia 2027, Bass and Bobo Kudon, and the Spotify maybe nothing get to some of the secret as no mass inside now Spotify at also and then Brad no so their Chelsea and that's a Bass just then him let me pass to my the Spotify as spot as a Bass Bobokono one time they met to my cast 65 million euros and 20 kaka and also by you went to my so to my for Antonio Rudiger me patron striker better who facing one proper was a Bronte for Roberto Fantoski and on like a come patron for Bronte. If I Antonio Rudiger, if I say yesterday, you went to my soul to my bush for 70 tosopa, already to the Yosef Maria Matobio, and of a central Rosal, Namia too much now, Obupium Nafe, Negara case no, almost the more testimony, as from Edgar Conafe, and Perifaso Etimabusabusa, San Perifaway, almost answer to a car, and then we are also Manchester United, the Bobo Cono, me patro Manchester United team, will be able to say in terms of your performance, Echo Fampa, now so the tennis in terms of your revenue, Manchester United Bobokonom, I recorded a record revenue. Also, our history was in terms of Yessica, me patrons way, I tribunal, the most set to me kind I was super at season Pia, me patrons 666.5 million pounds. And the Manchester United Bobokonom, Egadaya as revenue, no one patron Boboka. 18.4 million pounds. And we are Manchester United Bobokono, and Breno, and can be church of Manchester United. Or more finances no, not me patro, you want to me patro, the reason to already to European Filippo Moriba case, all dominating headlines. I'm a man for Statia, the Castle already to European Morim. Manchester United and Penny for Major Coin, the next a year 3 games yet, and day anymore, may the staff it on, also the Pro Cover. I'm a be person, let me call Manchester United Bobokono, so send the medical. Manchester United and Penny for Pamo already and the European Amoriba, the patro more, Mano, 12 million pounds in compensation already. We met 36.5 million pounds in compensation. And I'm already telling Eric Tenag. And I'm from a Patamoto football, but the Pire, and you must wait to Mountain Time, and from Manchester United, Bobo couldn't 20 kaka. And now you're not so far. I bet you for her, but Patro Babin Factor was a growth from which I draw, and you know what I try to come for them. So I told about would not be the number about ball power. I'm a wow, found, we yet and time. Would the pass with the cassetta? What any growth from which I draw, Nabino, Nababo, Pabi, Piasso McQuay, and so at about a bit of worry can do formula, more champion one super over Kenny, what attention.